Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Racer Insider Show. I'm Travis Turner. That is Lindy Suter. We are in episode 16, and it is the final episode of the 2025-2026 season. We'll talk a little bit about the Racers season ending in St. Louis, 94-80 at the hands of UIC. We'll also continue to talk to you guys about our all Suter 60 group. We get to the 2020s, and there's just a couple of guys that add to the roster in the 20s, but boy, are those resumes impressive. KJ Williams and Tevin Brown, a couple of guys, when you break down what they did here, it's all-timer level stuff, really. I think sometimes we might not realize that. Those guys, of course, began their career in the shadow of the great John Morant, but what they were able to do in their own right, so impressive. And of course, they check that box Lindy loves best, which is winners with multiple NCAA successes. So KJ and Tevin will enjoy talking about those guys and winding up the Suter 60, which has probably been as much fun as anything that we've done in quite some time. It's been a great trip down memory lane with all those guys. We do want to tell you about the top-seeded Racer women, the regular season Missouri Valley champions. They will start play in the MVC tournament in Coralville, Iowa on Friday at noon. They will face the winner of SIU and Indiana State. But before we get into that and to the rest of the show, we do want to thank one more time Lindy and our friends at Suter Insurance Group for their sponsorship of our show. 270-753-5842 on the phone, SuterINSgroup.com online. Again, that is SuterINSgroup.com and 270-753-5842. But we go once more, Lindy, to our veteran insurance man. You got the last word here on the show on your great team at Suter Insurance Group.
Well, there's one thing I'd like to mention real quick since it's the last show and nobody ever likes to talk about, and that's life insurance. Because nobody thinks they're going to die, and everybody waits until they're unhealthy to purchase it. And the one thing
Lindy, this is terrible news you're sharing with me.
I know, that's what happens. That's what happens. It's just not going to happen, but it is going to happen one day. And that's something I think everybody has a tendency to kind of ignore, whether they have enough or not. And where I think is ignored because of my personal experience I've had with my own family is buying it on your kids. Buy it on your kids while they're healthy. Buy it when they're 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. Go ahead and get it locked in, because at any time, health can change when you become uninsurable. And believe me, we witnessed it.
Yep.
I've witnessed it. And that's what I'm talking about. Fortunately enough, I bought mine one when she was like 4. That was a $50,000 policy that increased $25,000 2 different times. So she did end up with some insurance, but I just want to say, think about that. I know that's something you're really not thinking about, because you think, well, I don't need it, but they're going to need it. They're going to need it one day. And if their health changes, that all changes. So anyway, there's my life insurance story.
Yeah,
and
good
we've got
stuff.
good companies and, good rates.
We've talked about it all year, Lindy, where the insurance business is concerned. Nobody ever wants to have it. But there are very few of us that ever go through life without needing it.
I'll tell you what, one of the things that will make, handing off a life insurance check to a widow that has kids.
Yep.
Big deal right there. And we've done that here. But I also want to mention, we got Erie Insurance Company. They got a really cool product on their auto product. While you're actually sitting across the desk, you can get an insurance quote and actually get life insurance immediately without having anybody come in, stick a needle in you, send off blood or anything. You can get it just like that. There's like 5 questions. It's a little bit more than what it would be going through underwriting, but it's very simple and easy.
Very good, my friend. Thanks again. And again, folks, Suter Insurance Group, 270-753-5842, SuterINSgroup.com online. All right, we are going to start by talking a little bit about the Racer women, and I just want to go ahead and knock on wood, Lindy, and some sort of spell, I'll say, because these things aren't supposed to be discussed ahead of time, but they are going to try to go back-to-back in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. As I mentioned, they are the top seed, the regular season champs. They will face the winner of Southern Illinois and Indiana State at noon on Friday. And if you guys are wondering where in the world is Coralville, Iowa? It is just outside of Iowa City, which is the home of the University of Iowa. And if you wonder why in the world Coralville, Iowa, well, we often wonder the same thing about these tournament locations. But remember, the Valley footprint being what it is, we do have the Iowa schools. We do have the Northern Illinois schools for whom this location is quite convenient. And we're not sure what's going to happen with the future of the tournament. Obviously, we have been in Moline, Illinois, which is in the Quad Cities there on the Iowa border. I think the tournament returns there next year. Obviously, last year we were thrilled to be up the road in Evansville. I think there has been some discussion around league offices of maybe taking the women's tournament to St. Louis as well. We'll see what happens on all of that. And we certainly understand that Coralville is not going to be an easy place to get to, but any support that can be provided in person in front of the television set psychically, we will take every bit of it. But the Racer women, Lindy, wrapping up that regular season, a program record 28 wins, 28-3, 19-1 in Missouri Valley Conference play. It has been by any measure a remarkable year for the ladies.
No, it sure has. It's been very enjoyable watching them. I mean, the game the other day, I really enjoyed it. I was afraid they were going to get beat, but then they came on strong. That's the thing I've noticed about this team, and we kind of talked about it off the air. There's some games where they didn't play good enough to win. But
that's right.
Guess what? They won. They won. Why did they win, Travis? They were gritty.
It's just a toughness. It's just a toughness. And I think, Lindy, it's part of a culture that is developed within the program. And it's, there's a continuous line. And of course, we believe it's a reflection of their head coach and her personality. But when you're able to have a sustained bridge, that connectivity that began in this program, it began to turn really with Caitlin Young, what she did. And of course, we're so fortunate to have Caitlin as a part of the staff in her rookie year as a coach. She's off to a pretty good start as a coach, obviously, as well. But what began to build with her that was passed on to Haven Ford, that Haven continues to infuse this roster with, it's different whenever you're able to assimilate your portal pieces 2 or 3 at a time, and the connective tissue grows in so easily. Last year, a huge part of the team, you've got Hallie in her first year after coming over from Bradley. You've got Trinity White and Ava Learn. They were in their second years with the program after coming in. Trinity came in from Butler, Ava from Purdue. But it's all building in to what Kate had been a part of from the very start. And you just keep passing that on. Now, Keslin Sechrist and Sharnice Curry-Jelks come in from their respective programs, and it just pieces together. And there is a collective toughness. This is a group, the whole is much greater than the sum of the parts would be. And that's not to dismiss the talent we have, but this team is short on depth. It is short on size and length, but it is long on heart and courage. And as it turns out, pretty important ingredients right there.
You're dang right. That's one of the most important ingredients.
So yeah, we will see.
What also amazes me too, when you roll out the 3 guards, they're all kind of small, and you kind of got the 1, 2. I mean, that's what amazes me. You look out there and think, man, but they are so fun to watch. They really are. They are fun to watch.
Tenacious trumps tiny in this case.
Right.
So we will try to squeeze 3 more wins out of it. Again, just we're kind of beyond our wildest dreams here, but hopeful. One more great chapter will be written this season. It was a tough end for the Racer men. They fall to UIC 94-80 in their quarterfinal matchup with the Flames, and UIC really dominant throughout, building a huge lead at halftime and then just sort of maintaining it throughout the second half. The numbers, Lindy, not surprising the way things had gone for the Racers of late. They shoot just 23 of 64 from the field, 6 of 22 from three-point land, 28 of 41 at the foul line. UIC 34 of 63, 4 of 13 from deep, 22 of 32. And the alarming numbers that continued, the problems in two-point land for the Racers. Not only did they allow UIC to shoot 30 of 50 on twos at a 60% clip, 1.2 points per shot, the Racers just 17 of 42 inside the arc, 40% shooting, 0.81 points per shot. All told, 26 points in arrears on 2-point field goals. their advantage on threes and frees, not nearly enough here in the 14-point loss, and just really a difficult and disappointing end of the season.
Yeah, it pretty much told the month of February, actually, that game. I was hoping maybe we would find something, dig down and come up with something a little different. Maybe our 3-point shooters that have been cold would get hot, start knocking them down and go on a roll. But I just didn't, I was worried about that game. Early on, we called how good Illinois Chicago was. Early on. And, we had a tough time beating them both times, had a really tough time beating them here without Crawford. And they just got a toughness about them. And hats off to them. They have done a really good job. That coach has done a really good job of building toughness. They believed in themselves. I mean, they were a tough out. But, as far as what happened to us, I get asked that everywhere I go. What happened to the Racers? What happened to the Racers? And I don't know what happened to the Racers. I don't really know. I mean, I don't know. All I know is that here's the stats.
Right.
We gave up 38.3% 3-point field goal percentage on defense. Well, guess what? Belmont led the league at 38%. So that means every night that we played, 20 games, we're letting the other team shoot the three just as well as Belmont. And then, like you said, you throw in the twos. How in the world? You can't defend the three. You can't defend the two. You can't make the three. So it was just like an ingredient that, not really good deep. We just didn't have nothing to overcome. There wasn't nothing that we did really, really good.
Right. Especially not down the stretch in conference.
No, we didn't shoot good. Now, back in that early stretch when we were getting up and down the floor and we were running a little bit more, it seemed like we just slowed down. It's like I said last week, looked like our legs got dead, looked like a mentally, physically drained team when I look at them. And of course, like we've talked, I mean, we're in that period of the end of the season where some of them might be already thinking about where they're going next year. And, things might not have worked out the way they wanted it to. And that causes problems too. But, I think, when you bring in all those new guys, though, that's a heck of a chore right there. I mean, to bring in 15 or ever how many we brought in. But I'm concerned that this is going to be something that happens every year. And I think you pointed out something really good with the Lady Racers is that they add 2 or 3. They get their base, they add 2 or 3 portal.
Right.
We're just having to add a ton of them every year. And it still bum puzzles me how these other teams in the league have freshmen that can come in and get double digits on us about every game. Every game we play against a freshman, it seems like he gets double digits. You got the kid from Kentucky, I don't know where Eastern and Moorhead and a lot of the schools were to let that kid get to Illinois, Chicago, but he was a tough cookie too. But
yeah, I
think we just got outplayed, out-toughed, and ain't no way to put it. And, we didn't shoot the ball good enough this year. Like I said over and over, when you recruit some guys that are supposed to be 3-point shooters and they don't hit their 3-point shots, and that's really, that's a tough thing to overcome. And like I said, we just didn't have anything that we did. We shot free throws good. We were a pretty good free throw shooting team.
Well, and Lindy, I think, and you and I have discussed this off broadcast. If somebody says to me, what do we need? The prioritization, if you're going to put resources into anything, it needs to be a great guard.
Oh, no doubt.
A great guard. Okay. No doubt. Because the interesting thing when you look back over time, and again, the interesting thing about great shooters is great shooters can be evaluated in 2 ways. For me, I'm going to immediately look at mechanics and shooting form, but there are people who consistently are able to repeat something that's not textbook. They make the ball go in the basket. But where we ultimately, chicken and the egg, we as fans, you prefer the egg. You look at the numbers and you see that somebody made shots and you go great shooter, and you look at somebody who didn't make shots and you go bad shooter. That's just kind of the way this goes. And sometimes that ebbs and flows. But I think the thing that you will see is when you have great guard play, it is interesting how often great guard play leads to shot making. So I'm going to take you back just a week in our show. I'm going to take you back to the 2010s team. And remember Isaac Miles, who made our aughts. also played connected with Isaiah and BJ Jenkins and those guys, right? So, okay. So Isaac and BJ and Isaiah, and then eventually Dante, and then eventually Jeffrey Moss, these guys all play together. So you have Sip, who, you know, Isaiah, we know how great he was. The man made over 300 threes at a 42% clip. But people playing with him, BJ Jenkins shot 38 and 39%. Dante Poole, his senior year, shot 38%. Jeffrey Moss, for his career, he played with Isaiah and a guard named Cameron Payne, a couple NBA guys. Jeff in his career shot 40%, 38%, 42%, 41.5%. TJ Sapp, playing with Cameron Payne, shot 40%. Basically for his Murray State career, 39%. Terrell Miller played with Jonathan Stark, who shot 41% himself. Terrell shot 40%. Ja Morant played with a guy named Tevin Brown. Tevin, while he was playing with Ja, let's see, while playing with Ja, what did Tevin shoot here? He was shooting 40%. And then throughout his career, he shot nearly 39% and made over 350 threes. So great guard play. It's my understanding, and this is not a knock on Fred King, by the way, but it's my understanding that a great investment was made in Fred King. That would be smart money in 1985. Low post guys who can only operate around the basket, who can't create and make plays, who cannot defend in space. That's not what's going to win games in 2026.
No, it's guards.
And if it's going to be a big man, he is a big man that can play from 25 feet to the rim.
Play 30-something minutes a game.
That's, you know, and so I think, again, when people ask what happened, I think a roster that initially to us, and me included, I thought this roster had enough talent, and I'm not sure that it doesn't have enough talent. But when it turned out it was not tough, when it turned out it was not courageous, when it turned out it would turn it down when things got hard, that talent is void. That doesn't matter now. But the rest of it is the talent was not – there was not enough talent in the right spots. And this is not a knock on any individual. It's not. But the guard play was not good enough.
No.
There was not a guard on this roster, not one, that would have ever seen the floor on the best Murray State teams of the 2010s, correct?
Check.
That's correct.
Check.
So what happened? That happened. And that's the other thing that you would ask, who among this team, this 25-26 team, which player on this roster would have played for Matt McMahon's last team? The answer is nobody. Nobody plays for them.
I know. I've gone back through all those championship teams, and I don't think they can play for any of them, actually.
Nobody plays for Ja's team. Nobody plays for Isaiah's team. Which one of these forwards play in front of Ivan Ask and Ed Daniel? Nobody. Who plays in front of Jarvis Williams? Nobody. Terrell Miller? Nobody. It's not good enough.
No, I agree.
And that's not a shot at any of these guys, because how much better are any of these guys if they get to play with those guys?
Yeah.
They're much better, because what allowed Dante Poole to become who Dante Poole became? Part of it's on Dante. It's credit to Dante for his development, but part of it's playing with Isaiah Cannon, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What allows a Shaq Buchanan to flourish? What allows Tevin Brown early in his career to flourish? It's playing with Ja Morant, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely it is. And so these are the things that are missing. And I understand, and look, the 2-point defense is not just bad, it's atrocious. It's atrocious. And part of it's personnel and part of it's scheme. I think both those things work hand in hand. But you're going to have to identify, and this is the thing that I would say to everybody as fans, 60 to 58, whether it's good defense or not, it may be tempo, it may be bad offense, but if it's 60 to 58, people out of hand are going to look at it, Lindy, and what are they going to say? They're going to say good defense, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do. But 60 to 58 is a win by 2. Guess what 90 to 88 is?
2.
It's a win by 2. So you can build your club any number of ways to do any number of things. I think what you want is a club that can win 90 to 88 and 60 to 58. Because if you've got all that stuff in your toolbox, then you've got all situations and all opponents covered. But the only way you're going to guard well is you're going to have to pay people. I'm going to use the word pay because that's what's happening, okay? I have a good friend who's a huge baseball fan. And when people talk about the concern with home runs and the lack of concern for strikeouts, my friend says, well, you know what would happen? If they paid a guy who hit 10 home runs and struck out 20 times, if they paid him $50 million a year, you know what all the hitters would learn to do? They'd learn to put the ball in play. But since the guys they're paying $50 million are the ones that hit 40 homers and strike out 180 times, guess what?
Yeah.
That's what they're going to try to do.
Yeah.
So fan base, let them know if you want a defensive club, then the money needs to go to guys who can and will play defense.
Mm-hmm. I think I heard that on the post-game show.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, but you have to have ultimately, as we said when we talked about the best racer teams you've seen, you need guys who can play on both ends, don't you?
You sure do. You got to have guys that play on both ends. And I think you're absolutely right about any money that'd be invested next year. I think it needs to go in that guard position. And if you remember when we met Burley in the 2 or 3 podcasts, we're looking at the team. I think we both mentioned at that time the real key spot was going to be that guard position.
Yep.
Were they good enough? Were they big enough to handle a bigger school? I thought they were going to be good enough to handle the Missouri Valley. I did. But I calculated that wrong. I think every team had a guard that was, a good league guard. I mean, and so that didn't work out. So that'll be interesting to see how that all works out in the next 3 or 4 weeks also.
Well, and it's just as simple as roster construction can be because you are basically now watching pro basketball. The same thing is true. Whoever's coaching the worst teams in the NBA right now, I promise you, those guys are all great coaches. They're all great basketball men. But compared to the better teams, their rosters suck. Okay? The Oklahoma City Thunder are the champions for a reason. Their coach is fantastic, but their players are better. It's the favorite thing I've ever heard about coaching is Larry Bird was once asked about his head coach, K.C. Jones, in his days in Boston. Of course, K.C. himself had been a fine player. He was a part of Red Auerbach's championship teams with Bill Russell. But a reporter asked early in K.C.'s tenure, a reporter asked Bird about K.C. as a head coach. And he said, Larry, how do you feel about K.C. Jones as a coach? You think he's a good coach? And Larry said, yeah, I think K.C. does a good job. He's a good coach. He said, we even let him call a couple plays every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually the team that has the best players wins. It happens a lot. It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Get yourself a Larry Joe Bird and you'll be in business. I promise. Just go look in the high school level. Usually, because they can't hardly dictate what talent they have. Coach can win the region and go to the state because he had good talent. And then all that talent leaves, you get a bunch of young kids. You only so much you can do. That doesn't mean he's the same coach he was last year. That's right. It's just talent. That's talent. And what's really kind of confusing me, that's kind of got me a little bit bothered here over the last, and I know we're in a different era, and maybe we're still adjusting to it at Murray State. But when you start talking about all those guys that we had prior to NIL, prior to the Missouri Valley, we had teams that we recruited in the OVC that would have won this league, or at least been there on Saturday and Sunday. I think. There's no question. No question about it. So, and that kind of puzzles me a little bit. Well, and it's because, Lindy, I think is the paradigm shift in terms of recruiting, and I that we'll see how it works out. It may not work out, but
But counting Jaden Askins, our very talented forward from Jackson, Tennessee, who has redshirted this year because she tore up a knee back in summer workouts. Jaden will be part of a class next year for Rochelle that features 6 freshmen. We have 5 incoming freshmen plus Jaden, who will be in our redshirt year. Excuse me. And the reason that is happening is because there was an understanding that it was time to try to reload and build the base again. That had to happen. Oh, me, I'm choked up, Lindy. And the thing about this is we're going to have to be patient enough with the men's program if you want to build. Sometimes it takes time.
I don't know if the patience there. You know, and you brought something up about Ben Jacobson. When's the last time he went to the NCAA tournament?
Been a while, I think.
11 years. 11 years.
Yeah.
He's still there, though.
He is.
We go 11 years.
Well, we'll have 3 coaches by then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that would absolutely be the case. And so those are I think those are the deep thoughts and the deep decisions that are going to have to be made about how you do evaluate talent, how you determine how it is you want to build your program. And Lindy, I don't know what the right answer is there. I don't know what the best answer is. I know that, when I would talk to Dan Skirka about his situation in baseball in the Missouri Valley, he came in the first 2 years and he watched Indiana State win it with lineups full of COVID guys and graduate transfers, all portal guys. The next year he watched Evansville win it, and both of those teams had great postseason success. And so Dan understood that it was going to be hard to win with 18 and 19-year-olds versus 22 and 23-year-olds. Now, the difference with baseball is baseball does not require the same level of connectedness that basketball does, because the pitcher is on the mound by himself. It's a team sport, but
you're right.
On the bump can get it done. When you go in the batter's box, you're one guy at a time. And so it's more individual actions within the team framework. You still have to be able to play together and pass the baton and things of those natures. And his championship team last year certainly did. But he did understand that he had to have an older, more veteran, more physical team to compete in that world. He's done it, and it's worked out remarkably well. And, the thing about the freshman piece, I mean, look across the nation, and obviously we are not in play for the Cameron Boozers and the A.J. Devances and the Darren Petersons and the Darius Acuffs and players of that nature. But the players that are playing in the Missouri Valley also don't have to play in the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC. They simply need to be able to navigate these waters. And then if you can get them to hang around, but look, if they're so good as a freshman that they get money to go higher, won't that have been a huge asset to you while they were here?
It's like I said, somebody said we wouldn't have Ja Morant, but 1 year. I'll take him 1 year.
You'll take him.
Yes. I'll take him for 1 year.
Yes.
1 year. I'll take him for 1 year.
Yep. Well, Gary Hooker for 1 year at the other end of his career.
We've had a lot of guys, 1 year guys. Carl Size came in and played 1 year with that team back in the 80s. I mean, 1 year. He wasn't freshman.
Yeah.
Which brought up the guy that led Tennessee State to the OVC title was 26 years old. That guard.
Hey.
He was the MVP of the Big East tournament when he was a freshman.
How about that? Well, you're just looking for guys who are winners. Yeah. That's your thing, right? You're just looking for guys that are winners that want to compete. I do think it's important. You want people who want to wear that Murray State jersey. They want to be here for a reason above and beyond the money. Do those people exist anymore? I think so. There probably aren't as many of them anymore, obviously. But I think you've got to have the right pieces. This is the old bus theory, right? You got to get the wrong people off. You got to get the right people on. You got to put the people on in the right seats. And it's not an easy process. And I just think again that, if you're going to do this, you need to have a stylistic plan in terms of how you want to get after it. Okay, you want to be a man-to-man club, then the guys have got to be able to guard the concepts they're going to face man-to-man. Okay, you're gonna see middle ball screen. You're gonna see wing ball screen. You're gonna see zoom actions. You're gonna see get actions. You're gonna see all these things that all the teams want to run. Can you handle these actions? Do you have guys that are equipped to handle action? If you've got, because let's don't pretend that guarding the other side was a particular strength for any of our NBA guards. Okay. They didn't need to be in foul trouble to start with, but they were going to play heavy minutes. They were going to exert a lot of energy on the offensive end of the floor. So they weren't great defenders, but there were people in the lineup that could cover that for them. You had other defensive guards who could guard the best offensive guard on the other team. You had mobile bigs. One of the great strengths, Ed Daniels, a guy who could play today up front because of his mobility at the forward position. And those things, they just, if you want to get after it on that end, you've got to have some of that. If you're going to have guys make shots, then you need a shot creator. You need a guard who drags such gravity with him that we're 2 passes away all the time from a wide open look.
Yeah.
And if you're going to play a forward who plays a lot and has advantages in the post, that's fine. But he's got to be able to pass the ball and make plays out of double teams. He's got to be able to space the floor, because remember, the thing about having a guy anchored to the low box, that means there's a large defender around the rim. That makes driving to the basket hard for everybody else when you can step that big away and pull their big guy if they're going to play man-to-man. Now your smaller athletic guys that can get to the 10, they've got some more room to operate. It's all about, how do we space this floor and attack on the offensive end? So I think there's a way, but I think there's going to have to be an acknowledgement of this is not what it was. We're not in the era that we were in before. This is not Murray State kingpin of the OVC. That's gone. That's what the Suitor 60 is about. We're reviewing the good old days. They're not here anymore. There's going to have to be a new system built, a new program put in place, and it is a true program, because, guys, having a different roster every year is not a program. What that means is you need a program to identify who's on the floor. You need to build something right now. So my suggestion to everybody is put your support behind the idea that you want to see a team on the floor each year that you want to support. A group of players that it excites you to come out and cheer for those guys, whether they win 16 games or 30 games. Because I think what's happening right now, Lindy, is we're playing a zero-sum game where if we win enough, I'm a Racer fan. If we don't, I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that could creep in. I think that we do have a pretty solid base of maybe 3,000, maybe, that would be that way, unless we just bombed. I mean, just
right.
Totally,
Well, but again, how long does that sustain if they're having to?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. This is uncharted territory. And how long, the good thing we've got going here is, what else you going to do?
Right.
I mean, it's entertainment. Right. At the end of the day, that game is entertainment. It's what it is. It's entertainment. It's about going and getting entertained for a couple hours and getting out and being amongst people and enjoying it. And then, of course, you've got the emotional part that you're going to win. And a lot more people come out for the winner. Everybody knows
Absolutely.
that. Everybody knows that. And we're critical time right here. We're in year 4 without making any noise. We'll be going into year 5 with no noise. And when we look at that 20 to 26 right now, is that right? How many guys have I got on that team? 2.
Yeah. It's
2.
And we're going to ask the question, how long will it be before another joins them? For these 1-year guys, it's going to take a heck of a year, isn't it?
Well, they're going to have to find a 1-year guy that's really good. That's what I say. But, there's got to be some of them. If I was a young guy and I was really good, I'd want to go somewhere like Murray, show out,
right,
get that bigger check the next year.
Yep. It is an opportunity. But now Lindy, there is the fine line, because if I'm advising that guy, the first thing I'm going to tell him is, son, understand that when I say show out, the only show out that matters is winning a championship.
Oh yeah. I mean that.
Because if you think show out is take all the shots and score all the points.
No, Ja proved that his freshman year.
Yeah. And so those are the considerations. And again, those are the other challenges when guys are already looking out at what else is out there. It's tough, and it's the sort of thing that I do not relish the job of any head coach in America where money is being invested. I do not. I would not want their job.
No,
because I still wonder if you're paying a kid enough money. If you're let's use a round number like $500,000, you're paying a player $500,000, and obviously in some cases that would be a very low number. But you're paying that guy $500,000, and you say, get on the floor after that loose ball. He may go,
I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe if you kicked it up to 750, I'd get on the floor after the loose ball. You want to talk about that? And that's what's driven some of these guys out of the game already.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't think we're done with that. So it's going to be really, really interesting. And Lindy, we'll segue over to our two guys and head toward the finish line. But the one other thing I will say is that we now are in a position where you do have to wonder, starting now, what will the roster look like? And of course, I'm sure in the men's offices right now, that's what they're beginning to work on, is a plan for building that roster. But boy, knowing that you might year to year have to replace 2/3 or more of it, that's a lot.
That is a lot. It is a lot.
Makes us pine for the old days when we knew who was coming back, don't we?
Oh man, I try not to think about it, Travis.
Well, let's think about it, my friend. Let's go to the old days and let's talk about these two guys. And man, oh man, KJ Williams and Tevin Brown. I'm gonna save Tevin for last, which means KJ gets to go first. And KJ is the guy who actually added the Player of the Year trophy to the Hall of Fame with the 21-22 Player of the Year. He also won the scoring title. He also was the field goal percentage champ as a freshman. This guy comes in, and remember, how good were we when KJ came in? So good that he played less than 20 minutes a game as a freshman, still went for 7.6 points and 4.7 rebounds. He made nearly 70% of his shots, and he only took 5 threes as a freshman. He'd get better at that as time went on. Sophomore year, it's up to 23 minutes. It's 12.7 points, 7.3 rebounds, 54% shooting. 18 of 50 from 3 for 36%. Junior year, it's 28.6 minutes a game, 15.6 points, 8.5 rebounds, 567 on the shooting, and he was 26 of 63 for 41% from 3, Lindy. And then his senior year, his Player of the Year campaign, in about 30 minutes a night, he went for 18, 8.5 again on the glass, shot 54% from the field, made 47 threes, all told 1,667 points, 888 rebounds, 127 steals for his career, averaged 13.4 points and 7.2 rebounds a game, and shot 57% from the field. Pretty darn good up front for KJ Williams.
Oh, KJ Williams. KJ Williams, never forget, walked into the practice with Matt McMahon. Walked into that practice together. I looked out there and I saw KJ Williams. I don't know, by the time that dude is a senior, you're going to be really good when the kid's a senior. And to see him progress along like he did, and, talk about a quiet guy. Probably one of the reasons why he's probably not thought of as one of our really big stars. But when you just mentioned, he really was. He really was. I mean, he played big parts in all those teams. He's got him a couple of NCAA wins. Is that correct?
That's right. Bookended his career.
Yeah, with NCAA wins. just I loved his family too. They were very supportive. I always bring up the families because I ended up meeting all the families, and they were just great people too. And I think things are working out pretty good for KJ. But boy, he was legit, no doubt about it. He was legit, and that 3-point shooting was one of those sneaky things. I bet that surprised you when you actually looked it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, and
I mean,
I remember, he
yeah,
kind of added that to his game, but that he did so effectively, Lindy. It really did, catch me by
I wouldn't
surprise.
have guessed it being that high. I knew he'd come along. He made a
Right.
made a lot of them, but I didn't realize he'd come that far.
Well, and he is a guy too, and obviously KJ, I think probably would tell you he was better and more interested on the offensive end than the defensive end. Most people who have played basketball are a little bit that way. But when you talk about the prototype big player, and of course, again, in part you look at who KJ was physically, and you go, how in the world did we pull this guy? Because I mean, he's a power forward guy physically. I mean, he just really is. But he is a guy that has that lean athletic ability because we listed him at 6'10". And even if he wasn't, even if it was 6'8" or 6'9", that kind of length and that kind of athleticism and the ability to play end to end and from beyond the arc all the way to the rim, this is that championship level forward you're looking for.
And what's really wild is he was a quarterback in high school.
How about that?
That'll tell you a lot.
Yes, in terms of the mobility piece.
Mobility. In fact, that was kind of weird that year. We had a bunch of quarterbacks. We had Tim Brown's a quarterback, a heck of a quarterback. 2 sport guys. Both of them were 2 sport guys coming out of high school, which that's hard to find nowadays.
Right. Well, and guys who were just exceptional.
Yeah, I mean, they are. When you really look back at it and you review what they did, Jai kind of does overshadow them a little bit. But I'll tell you what, if you'll look at the computer rankings, if I'm not mistaken, that last team was one of our highest rated teams.
Yes.
The last one.
They were
Steve's team that was top 10, even computer wise, is actually the highest ranked team that we've had. But if I'm not mistaken, that team right there was number 2.
They were phenomenal. And Lindy, we'll shift
to Tevin quarterbacks now. On that team. You had Juice Hill on that quarterback team.
Yes.
Quarterbacks everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, some phenomenal athletes on that group too. When you look at that bunch and you throw Trey Hannibal in there, the physical nature there, man, they were something else and would have been a problem in anybody's league. There's no question. But Tevin, of course, had to redshirt his first year. And when he hit the floor, he hit there and he stayed there. Lindy, he never played less than 32.8 minutes a game. That was his redshirt freshman year. It was 32.8, 37.4, 35.5, 35.2. I mentioned that because I know you love seeing your best guys on the floor, and he was always out there. He was 11.8 per game and also grabbed nearly 5 rebounds as a freshman. Then his scoring ballooned to 18 the next year with 5.6 boards. Then it was 14.7 and 5.9, 16.8 and 5.6 his last season. In his career, he hit 354 threes at a 39% clip. His high water mark in terms of percentage was 42% as a sophomore. He made 106 his senior year. The only man to make more than that in a single season is Jonathan Stark. Another underrated thing about Tevin was his playmaking ability. Had over 400 assists in his career. All told, it's 1,915 points, 645 rebounds, 407 assists, 157 steals. He is number 1 all-time in threes made. He is number 7 all-time in scoring. And he joins KJ as a 3-time All-OVC selection. And as Lindy already mentioned, owner of a pair of NCAA tournament wins, which puts you in rarefied air. Tevin Brown is a guy real close to the inner circle of all-time greats.
No, he sure is. And, it's funny, James Kane recruited Tevin Brown. He was recruiting Tevin Brown when he saw Ja Morant.
How about that?
Tevin was a big reason why Tevin had an influence on Ja coming here too. I mean, they became friends during that matchup they had, I think, when they played against each other out there in that AAU game. But, Tevin always brought that same game face every game. You never would have gone home and said, man, Tevin just he might have had a bad shooting night, but you would never say, hey, he tanked it tonight. He didn't play hard. He was consistent. Tevin Brown was consistent. And when you said number 7 all-time scoring, that'd get you dang attention really quick, wouldn't it?
Really quickly.
I mean, it got mine real quick. I didn't even realize that. That's pretty good. In fact, I think I'm on the Hall of Fame committee. That's both of them guys will be in the Hall of Fame one day, I promise you.
Yeah,
They're well worth it. And the wins in the NCAA tournament, the big shots he made against Marquette. How many threes did he make against Marquette? 5 or 6, I think.
I believe that's right.
And I think he might have been, I don't know, that might have been his freshman year. I'm not really for sure, but I think it might have been KJ's freshman year. Well, Tevin redshirted though.
Yeah, it was 18-19. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he had that was, you got to knock when John Moran makes those passes too. You got to knock them down.
Yep.
And boy, he could knock them down, and he had a quick release. And boy, and he's still playing. He's still playing and doing well too. Still playing.
And those two guys, Lindy, because of Tevin's redshirt year, of course, they were together all 4 years, KJ and Tevin, 18-19 through 21-22. So you're talking about two guys who together, Lindy, 3,582 points. Over 3,500 points from those two guys. They also collected over 1,500 rebounds. And how about that number for Tevin as a big-time shooter scorer from the off-guard or wing position to have over 400 assists? He had 3 different seasons in his career where he handed out over 100 helpers.
Wow. God, he is underrated. He's underrated. You've even got him rated up higher in my list now. But
I mean, it's, and these guys among our 4-year guys, it's just, it's just incredible. And let's put a little neat bow again on this in terms of the decade that spanned from 2010 up until 2020, because obviously KJ and Tevin crossed over there. That's why we're talking about them now. But those two guys, Williams and Brown, folks, they join the list that included Morant, Buchanan, Stark, Miller, Snap, Williams, Payne, Moss, Poole, Jenkins, Daniel, Aska, Cannon, all the way back to Isaac Miles, who touches that decade at the end of his career. That's a list.
I'd like to have one of them right now.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, our winner and defender, Juwan Long,
Juwan Long
as well.
Too. He would really come in handy this year also.
Hey, and Jonathan Farrell.
Yeah, Jonathan Farrell.
So, I mean, the talent came through, and you talked about this a lot last time, and when we talked about that decade, but the job that Steve and James and Matt and all of the people involved in recruiting through that decade, home runs across the board.
Yeah, I mean, all you got to do is even look at the staff. I mean, Matt ends up the head coach at, he's a head coach at LSU. James is the assistant coach at Dayton, which is having a good year, and he's doing an excellent job up there. And, you had Billy Kennedy that went on to Texas A&M, and he just had a really good staff. And they did. And Prom was a heck of an assistant. See, the thing that always concerned me when we hired Steve, because I knew Billy had Steve.
Right.
Steve was lead guy on Cannon, and I just knew how hard he worked. I mean, Ed Daniel every week going down to Alabama, making sure Ed was doing what he had to do to be eligible. Trying to hold on to Sip, getting on to him. And, Juwan Long, bringing in that winner, his first recruit was Juwan Long. And then when Steve got the job, I was concerned, does Steve have another Steve? Can Steve get another Steve like Billy had Steve? And of course, he got Matt and Kane, and them two did a really good job. I mean, did a really good job. So, and then the next year around, we'll just leave that one alone. But we had some quality people. I mean, and nothing to take away from them, really, not at all. But I just, and congratulations to Maddox, Coach Maddox.
Yep.
He won a share of the OVC championship. He made it to the tournament game. Things didn't work out. TSU is a buzzsaw right now. He got it going. It's amazing to me that they could be that good and average 450 people a game. That's crazy.
Lost in the Nashville scene.
I mean, that's crazy. But yeah.
Hey, we said it, Lindy. We said it a while ago regarding pro basketball and this version of pro basketball that we play now at the Division I level. It's about players. It's always been about players. It will always be about players, and it is.
And you got to be really good, like you said. You got to know how to spend that money now. That's another dynamic that's thrown into it. I mean, there's some professional teams that could spend the same amount of money. I mean, the Cardinals could spend the same amount of money as the Mets or whoever. It doesn't make who did the best job at evaluating it. And how much are you paying?
Well, that's what this is. It's
really
got to be a smart money.
That's going to be a major job. Now, I know coming into this year, there was probably a little bit of a rush because you did have to get so many new players. So you probably just had to start, clicking them off. But it'll be interesting. This is going to be a really interesting summer to watch.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing.
And by the way, just throw out a congratulations because they're Racer family. Nick Ellington had a double-double the other night against St. Louis. This one will really throw people. Applewhite with Georgia Southern's been on this long winning streak down there to get to the Sun Belt. And, where they have to play win 6 or 7 games to get to the finals of that league, the way they got their brackets set up. The other night, he hit 7 out of 8 threes and had 32 points. Applewhite did. And Ellington
that was quite a box score.
Yeah, Jordan McClure, who was the freshman last year, started for East Tennessee State this year. He was on the other day. They got upset yesterday. I hated it for them. A lot of number 1 seeds getting beat in those conferences by number 6 and 7, not just 2s and 3s. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
But anyway, so congrats to those guys, because they were here. They're Racer family, and I'm glad they've all got to doing well this year.
Yeah. And guys, one thing I'll say is Lindy brings that up, and just be aware again of how hard this roster construction business is. If you spend too long in the financial negotiations and courtship of one player, it may cost you the shot at another.
Right.
And so when you have somebody that you believe fits that will say yes, you can't, sometimes regret is just something that has to be left on the roadside because you're going to have to make decisions that you have to get people on the roster that work both talent wise and financially. I mean, that's the thing. And to me, the biggest challenge is not even getting the players. They managed to assemble a talented roster this year, but can you build a group that has the connective tissue that they fit in support of one another and in support of a larger game plan to try to be better than the other fellas? And, it's going to be one of those deals that, in the OVC, it got to the point where there were maybe a handful of teams a year. It was Belmont, Murray State, and maybe a couple of others on a rotating basis that were really capable of and trying to win.
Yeah.
The Missouri Valley men's tournament showed you with a final that included Northern Iowa, the winner, and UIC. Apparently, there are lots of folks trying.
Yeah, because not one of the top 4 seeds made it.
It's harder. It's harder. It's going to be harder. Now, it's awfully sweet when you get to the top of harder, but that climb may take a little time. It's certainly going to take a lot of work, and it may take a little fortune sometimes. You're going to need the right guy to fall into your lap that maybe shouldn't have. That next guy that is the Cameron Payne, that is the Isaiah Cannon, that is the Ja Morant that nobody saw coming, that in a year can spin your fate real fast.
Yeah, sure can. And I bet they're all out. I would think you're probably right. I would say that the money's going to be spent at that guard position.
I think that's where you've got to start.
I mean, it goes. You can go back on even our teams. The teams with the best guards just have, even the 2 guards that play for Northern Iowa are excellent. The guards for Illinois Chicago, excellent. The ones that had them strong guards and just get you inside. You don't have to dominate inside. Just be good.
Hey, listen.
Be great on the perimeter and be good inside. Great on the perimeter and good inside.
My wife Lindy was asked yesterday on a Missouri Valley Conference Zoom, about the tournament, and someone asked her the question, Coach, how have you been able to do this without Caitlin Young, without Ava Learn? And she said very quickly, great guard play.
Oh, exactly.
That's
Gotta have great
that's
guard
it.
play.
And
The ball is in their hands more than anybody's. Let's just put it that way.
They're making plays, they're making decisions, they're creating tempo. They're the head of the snake, and you better have it if you want to get something done. So we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting spring and summer, obviously, as they try to build the next roster, and we'll see what unfolds. And again, we do hope that all of you will, in one way or another, provide your support for the women as they try to win a second consecutive Missouri Valley Conference Women's Tournament. They enter as the number 1 seed, and they face the winner of Southern Illinois and Indiana State. They will do that at noon on Friday. Semifinals will be on Saturday, championship game on Sunday. We hope you'll have to follow it all weekend long. My friend, that's going to put the Racer Insider Show for now. We'll put it to bed, and who knows, we may have to summon an emergency show depending on what's developing in the off season. But it's been a great joy to be back with you, of course, and let our brotherhood do what it does as we talk about all things Murray State basketball. But we enjoyed it. Certainly, we enjoy it more when there is greater success and there's more titles won. We're human. We'll be honest about that. But we've had a good time, and it's been a lot of fun, really. I mean, it's been special as a longtime Racer fan, not quite as experienced as you, but a long time. But the trip down memory lane with the Suitor 60 has been one of my favorite things we've ever done. It was great to do it.
Yeah, and I think we'll come up with something else next year that'll be fun too. That'll talk about history. We may go into coaches, may have a few more of them on, interviews, get them on. Everybody loved the Mark Gottfried interview a lot. So I think that's something we'll continue. I want to thank you, Travis, for coming out of retirement to do this. I mean, I really am. I missed it when we started that radio show. In fact, last night, I hadn't listened to it yet, but I found a DVD, and it says 2008 on it, and it says Travis Turner Show.
Opening days.
So I think I'm going to pop that in here when I'm figured, and listen to that. But, we went for that good run at the radio station, and then we did the podcast, and you went into coaching baseball and putting your attention where it should have been. But to have you back, and man, I've had compliments from all over the country from people calling this Travis Turner guy, man, he's sharp. Yeah, I've just been telling you that for years.
Here, look, we'll put our banner back up, Lindy. There we go.
Spend your money here. We may have to have a little help to keep Travis going, because who knows? ESPN might be calling soon if they get a hold of any of this, because he's at that level, in my opinion. And that's another thing. We're so fortunate here in Murray, Kentucky, that we have had people like Travis and Neil Bradley, talented people that have stuck around the community, that their talents were far greater than Murray, Kentucky, both of you. And I'm so happy that it's worked out for your family. I think I'm really happy that it's worked out for Michelle. And I know you're that one extra coach too. I know you're there with her. So, and
I'm that constant voice, Lindy, that won't leave her alone. So
won't leave her alone. And like I said, I just quit sending out congrats to him because he found too many. But anyway, I want to thank you. I want to thank the people that tuned in. Next year, I'll probably look a little bit more on getting on a few more platforms when we get going. But I think you made a good idea about maybe we might end up having a show during the summer just for the portal, just to see how it's going, who's left, who we're bringing in, because that's going to be a real topic. That's one thing. Boy, the recruiting season has really changed now. I mean, the playing season ends, and then there's a whole new season.
Yes, it is its own energy.
It's its own deal right there. But and thank like I said, thank all Racer Nation for tuning in. I appreciate all the compliments that we've got for doing the show, and I really hope we get to do it again next year. Of course, we did start the show when we were going to win the league and go to Elite Eight. I might have called in sick if I'd have known it turned out like it did in February. I don't know. It is easier. It is a lot easier, folks, to do the show when you're winning. It really is. I mean, and anybody that's in this business knows that. It's always tough, especially for me. And the reason I say that for me is because I'm one of those guys, and I always said it even when we were on the Travis Turner show. I'm a fan. I wasn't a media guy. I'm not a guy that was brought up in the media. I started a Racer Insider just as a hobby, and all of a sudden, but I'm a fan first. And sometimes that's difficult when you're a fan first. You know what I'm saying? To do shows when you're losing and things are not going good. It's really difficult.
Well, and Lindy, I want to say something that, and of course, the people that know you do understand this, but what this program has meant to your family and what your family has meant to it, for who Gerald was to the program, but not just to the program at large, but to the individual players, who he was as a father figure, as a mentor, as a support system to them. You and Larry have taken that job on over the years, and what it has meant to players and to coaches to be able to go out to Larry and Susan's and all of the experiences they had there as a place where you were always loved and supported. And it didn't matter whether you had played well or played badly, they were there for you. And, we all have emotions about how we feel about how it's going. You always have. But in all of the work that we've done, whether it's been in this sort of format or on the radio show, critical of the individual players, you have never been. Never been. Acknowledgement of better play or worse levels of play. But the players have always been the Racer family. They have never been under attack. And
I'll never do that. I'll never do that.
And he is not lying, because I have experienced him doing it. There were not many, but there were some Mondays in lean times in which I would get a text that said, "Cough, cough. I'm not feeling well this morning," because if he didn't have something positive to talk about, he'd set the week off. And his targets when he needed that energy were the OVC offices. It might be opposing fan bases, but it was never his own guys. And so, the love and support, and again, it is probably as accurate to say you are family with Racer basketball as even fan. It's that deep and it's that personal.
That's why it's been like it is. I mean, we talk about my dad, but people don't realize that his dad, my granddad, was just like my dad. I mean, he employed guys up there at the service station. When Tom Moran needed a kidney transplant, my granddad led the charge to raise the money to get that kidney transplant that Tom Moran had to have. So, it goes on back, and my granddad taking my dad and Pete Waldrop to see Benny Purcell play on the road. Can you imagine? My dad and Pete Waldrop in the car going as kids to watch Benny play. I just think that's great.
I would like some tape from that trip, actually.
That would have been interesting. But anyway, it goes back, and they are family. My brother took over for my dad, him and Susan, like my stepmother, Jeanette. I mean, she was just a mom just as much as my dad was a dad to him. And then Brother Larry.
It meant everything to him, didn't it? That role. Yeah, he absolutely loved it. And that's one of those things, Lindy, too, when you talk about building the program back to that level, you hope that some of these guys will stay around here long enough to experience that. Yeah. That would be a big deal, because, you and I have had the conversation over the years about this guy loved this dish when they'd go over there, and this guy couldn't wait to get into the desserts. And, yeah, just
Fruit Loops.
Whatever, and that's some of the best of that college athletics has to offer. And I hope that will still be true going forward.
Yeah, I think it will be. I really do think the program misses my brother, though.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's just, there's no question. I mean, voices of wisdom and perspective are always in short supply, especially in competitive situations. It's important to have people that step in and say, "Hey, I'm for you and I'm behind you, but maybe think about this or focus on that."
There's one thing about him: when he did, it wasn't always a pat on the back.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't always a pat on the back. It might be a father-son conversation, but it wasn't always a pat on the back. But man, all you had to do is go in his room and see all the jerseys that all these players had gave him. Their senior jerseys. Of course, when he's passed away, he had Susan send all the seniors back their jerseys. That's
Right.
part of instruction
Yeah.
to do that. But anyway, hate to get off on that, but and stuff.
Yeah, it's part of the fabric of like explaining what all this has meant to you for a long, long time, and so hopefully championships are ahead. And but again, I would urge for everybody to invest in the patience required to get there, because this is how we see it on the women's side. And I'll say this, I will knock wood one more time. Hope I'm not jinxing anything, but no matter what happens for our women this weekend. Last year, share of the regular season title, tournament championship, trip to NCAA. This year, standalone title at 19-1. We believe what has been built will sustain, and it will continue pursuing championships for years to come. It took time to get there, and I understand the patience is never going to be as long on the men's side as it was on the women, but I will just say this, build it right, and it will stay. Build it wrong and it may collapse. So build it right. That's the key going forward.
That's the key. And again, what a job Rochelle has done building that. I mean, incredible. I hope that if she wins this tournament, is some bigger school going to be calling on her? I think
it happens. I mean, I think she'll get more interest this year. She got a little bit last year. I think more interest will come. But Lindy, I'll say what I said recently. You know, we are old enough, and in fact, Rochelle and I look at ourselves often as too old for another rebuild job. But we have been around long enough. You know, we watch, you know, Matt McMahon is a friend. We consider Matt a friend, and it is very hard to watch him go through what he's going through at LSU. I know Matt and his family have earned generational money from that job, but man, he looks a decade older than when he took it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was actually sharing this story with Rochelle last night. I was on the way home, and she had shared with me that the coach at Florida had been let go on the women's side. But just some things that have happened in women's basketball in recent weeks. Rutgers fired a head coach or did not renew a head coach and hired a new one off LSU staff. Rutgers this year in the Big Ten, they were 1-17. Boston College in the ACC let go their head coach. They had been 1-17. Pittsburgh let go of their head coach. He was 1-17. And Lindy, the article I read about the Pitt head coach being released was that his winning percentage during his tenure at Pitt was around 31%. And the writer mentioned in the article that while, of course, 31% was not good, it was a little better than the previous head coach who had won 29% of his games. So you're talking about at the University of Pittsburgh, a stretch of 7 to 8 years through two different coaches where they won 30% of their games. And look, I know pot full of money potentially, but nothing but misery. And if the university will pay her the respect in dollars that she deserves for the work that she's done and continue to invest in her program, we're well aware of what we've got right here. And this, of course, is home for us, deeply rooted home. But we know that the grass here is really, really green. And
you don't know what's there. No,
yeah,
you're right.
You know, the quote unquote big time is only big time if it's going well. Using that Pitt story as an example, how many fans do you suppose Pitt women play in front of?
I don't know.
In the dozens, not in the hundreds, in the dozens. In the CFSB Center, we have a great and loyal fan base that's there for Rochelle and her women every time we turn the lights on.
And it's building.
Believe me, it matters.
It's building. It's building. There's more interest.
It matters. So, hey, people are welcome to call.
Something to me that I didn't think would ever happen. Made me a girls basketball fan.
Yeah, you're interested, right?
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I never was interested in
Yeah.
it before. Never was interested in it before. And that's what I was talking about with the guys over in Benton or Marshall County on their podcast one day. They were asking about attendance and attendance.
Yep.
And I said, there's just not enough history. There's not
Yep.
been enough passion in the past. It's just now starting. It's just now starting. And I said, you'll see the attendance increase. But when there's never been the winning culture in women here, there's never been the excitement before. So there's never been the passion. Well, now you've got people that's got passion.
Yep.
They're not just coming to the games and sitting on their tails either. They're getting up and cheering. They care.
And Lindy, I'll tell you a little quick personal story here as we wrap up. On the Thursday night that the ladies clinched a share, last homestand, of course, they clinched outright on Saturday, but on Thursday night they clinched a share and the outright and the top seed at that point. But that afternoon, that late afternoon, I had two students in my instructional facility. I had an 8-year-old boy, a baseball player, and then I had a 9 or 10-year-old girl next, okay, at 4:30 and 5:15. Both families, the 8-year-old boy and his family, the 10-year-old girl and her family were both at the game that night.
See, that's cool.
And that is the sort of thing that as long as those kids are in this community and growing up, because I watched the little girl on Saturday scoop confetti up and throw it everywhere, enjoying that championship. She goes to their camp every summer. She knows the players. She knows Rochelle. We're already having arguments over which Coach Turner she likes best. It's not me, sadly. Rochelle still got her.
That surprised me.
But that's taking hold. And so that's the sort of stuff that, when we look at and analyze what we would do next, it would have to be a substantial truckload of money to even get us to consider being somewhere besides right here.
Good news.
Because to be able to enjoy this at home is better than being able to enjoy it anywhere else.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
no
fact.
doubt about it. No doubt about it. How's your son doing? Is he enjoying it?
He is loving it. In fact, Rochelle and I are concerned.
Getting back there.
He has a terrible. He's getting spoiled, Lindy. He thinks this coaching thing is easy. He thinks you just show up and win all the time. I said you need to go suffer like I suffered, son. You need to have to suffer for your desire to be a coach. But yeah, I mean, he's just absolutely loving it. Of course, it's been a neat thing. He and his mom during his college baseball career didn't get to spend a lot of time together because their schedules just didn't work. And so to be able to be on the road with her and to watch all this and see how this happens, it's quite an education when you get behind the scenes and you see all of the things that go into building a championship program. And so we're really excited for him to be a part of that. But yeah, we've cautioned him. Remember, there's two sides to this outcome here. We may not always be on top, but it's been a fun thing for the family. And of course, being able to share all that, and of course we've been here so long and we have so many friends that are loose in this community, in this region. It's just it's a unique story. There have been several coaches who have risen from the high school ranks as she did, but to be able to do it in the same community that she's worked in, I mean, she in her career, Lindy, I guess now she is moving towards, she's over 600 wins. I'd say she's moving towards 650 at this point in her coaching career. Every one of them have happened with Murray.
Isn't that something?
Next to her name.
Starting at 23 years old?
She started at 23 years old. Yep.
Wow.
And this is season 30. She has now been a head coach much longer than she had been alive when she started. So yeah, it's
in the same place, in the same town.
And I've got all the stars to prove it.
Levels. She's won regional championships. She's won Missouri Valley Conference championships. She's just what do I call that?
I think that's hashtag winner.
Hashtag winner.
Yep.
The ultimate winner.
We hope we'll be adding another chapter to that soon. My friend, I know you were hungry when we started, so you're past due getting to lunch. So one more time, give us that signature sign-off.
Yeah, I even hate to do it one last time. I've enjoyed it so much. I guess I can get it out. Go
Get it.
Racers.